Welcome in, everybody, to Amalgamation Nation, the AM Nation pod. Your source for gaming, sports, anime news, and so much more. As always, I am the anime-watching booty knife gang, reppin' Swole Team 6, John Cena's bestie, Ryan Green Machine Ebner. And today is a sports episode. It's been a little bit of a minute since we did a straight pure sports episode. The last couple of shows we did, we had that one where BK and I, we just kind of did a true amalgamation of things. We talked about a bunch of stuff before he went off on his way to become a dad. Good on him. And then the last show that we just did this past weekend is a gaming show. That's up now, right on podcast platforms. Just search Amalgamation Nation. That was a good episode. Joey, me, and Mike. That was actually a pretty good fun episode. So check that one out. It's also on YouTube as well. So youtube.com/AMNationPod, all that good stuff. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all that stuff. It's at AMNationPod. Hit the follow button on all of those. You, like I mentioned, can find the show on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. Just search Amalgamation Nation. And while you're there, you'll see the Big JBB show in the thread as well. Listen to all those, share, all that good stuff. YouTube.com/AMNationPod, like I mentioned. You hit the sub button there. We appreciate that very much. Twitch.tv/UndeadBlackBulls is where you find David streaming, and sometimes our other shows on there as well. Make sure you give him a follow and a sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch gaming sub a month, so give it to Undead Black Bull. Now, today, joining me, it's going to be a one-on-one here. We got 3 good knees on this pod today. Because joining me today, Petey Tahiti Argus. Pete, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fine. The other knee that Ryan is referencing is pretty injured right now. See, this is what happens when you turn 30. This is all the downhill from my standpoint, my year 30. It's funny because as I was driving back, all right, so let the people know. So a few weeks ago, basically a month ago, I was playing softball on Monday and basically twisted up my knee, running from first to second to get out of a tag. Put all my weight on my left leg. I thought it was a knee sprain. Didn't really get better for a few weeks. So I was like, you know what? I probably should do the responsible thing. Let's get an x-ray done. Get an MRI done. Find out here on Monday it's a torn ACL. So now I have a torn ACL. Unbelievable. Like, just terrible that this is happening. So my softball career, I think, is done. I think that part's done. I think we can safe to say softball career is done. It was for a bad team. We were not a very good team this year, so it was not really worth it. But other than that, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing good. It sucks about the whole leg thing, but I feel like a professional athlete. I feel inspired because Rashawn Gary is back with the Packers after he tore his ACL last year. I was like, that's right, Rashawn. That's right. That's going to be me. I'm going to be coming back. Don't worry. I'll be back stronger than ever. But other than that, I'm doing great. And you know what? You know what's right around the corner? Football season. So I cannot complain because we are a month away, basically, from real football. And actually less than a month, right?
Less than a month
in terms of days. Less than a month.
If you want me to do the dates here, so tomorrow is the 10th, right? That's a Thursday. We are 4 weeks away, Pete. 4 weeks away from real NFL football. Feels good. We have a draft next week. The AM Nation Fantasy League. That'll be fun. Your ACL is gone. My mustache is gone. It's a sad time. It's a sad time on this show right now. I'll tell you what, though, Pete. If I end up moving to Northeast Ohio, I will sub in for you for softball. No problem.
All right, man. All right. Well, I'll take your word for it then.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Well, I was just going to say, who knows about the softball team for next year? Because, it's of a friend, and then the friend kind of moved away. So, I don't know if we're going to be fighting.
Yeah,
might not be worth it. Might not be worth it. But, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. There's no other real things to say other than it's tough. And, I mean, it sucks. And, yeah, begin surgery here in a couple weeks. And, we'll see. Be a brand new knee. Brand new knee. Better than ever.
Way to kick off 30, buddy. Proud of you. What I'm not proud of to start off this show, It was the earliest World Cup elimination for the U.S. women's national team in their history. That is also tough. Not great. They were the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing this year. They didn't really look good besides that first game, man. That was it. Vietnam's the only game they looked good. After that, not great.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the way they were playing, I mean, they had like so many draws for them to, move on and, get to this stage to where they were even at. I mean, they just, yeah, we're not playing well. And it was like, oh, no, it's fine. We're like moving on and whatever. And it clearly wasn't. It clearly wasn't fine. So, yeah, it's very disappointing for them to already be out. Sucks. But I don't know. It's kind of like the waves of, we talked about, or like we've talked about here in the past, like for USA basketball, like the Greece Olympics was kind of like eye opening. It was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like we are not the best in the world anymore. Like we need to actually step up. And from there, our basketball team has been amazing when it comes to Olympics. So I don't know, maybe this makes our women's soccer team so much better when you have an exit like this. It's kind of, like oh God, what's the best word? Not. I don't know. It's a definite wake up call. I guess that's not really the word I was going for, but it's definitely a wake up call. So maybe they'll come back stronger than this, or stronger from this. But yeah, it's just so disappointing, and it just sucked because, like, I mean, who in America? I mean, I'm sure the diehards did, but like, it was like at 3 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock
Yeah.
Central when that game was. So it's like it sucks that like they're out, and like who actually probably watched them at this time? So that part sucks too.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point as well. We'll see. We'll see what this does for U.S. women's national team, and then we'll find out how our men do as well. But yeah, like tough early exit here for the women. Pete Tahiti, let's talk baseball, dude. Can't wait for it to be over.
Maybe for your team, I'm okay with it. I'm okay right now.
I hate it here.
I mean, wait. I mean, Ryan, did you want to start with the White Sox? Did you just want to lead this off, get it out of the way? Did you want to like talk about some other things and then end baseball with the White Sox? How did you want to approach this?
I guess we could start with the White Sox, right? I guess
All right,
so.
yeah, let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's get into it.
go off, Ryan. It's
Go
all you.
off. Let's start with some of the trades that got made, right? The White Sox moved on from a numerous amount of players here, including Kenyon Middleton, which I'll get to in a little bit. Lucas Giolito dealt to the Angels. A couple others, including Jake Berger to the Miami Marlins. That one was sad. That was out of all the trades, that was a sad one. Jake Berger, besides probably Luis Robert, has been like the bright side of this team this year to like to cheer for. And they made a move where basically, to me, the Jake Berger thing is the White Sox saying, like, he's never going to get better than what he's doing right now. Like, that's it. You've seen his ceiling, and that's it. But that doesn't even really make me feel better because I'd rather play Jake Berger than that useless piece of shit that known as Yohan Moncada. You know what I mean? I'd rather play Jake Berger. Yeah, it's going to start. Oh, yeah. It's going to start because I'm real angry about this team. So those trades... I actually wasn't really against really any of the trades, like I said. Besides the Jake Berger one, that one made me a little upset. But like the Giolito stuff and everything, like thought they did good. To not move Dylan Cease, I know that some people were upset. I'm kind of in the mid. Like he's still under team control for 5 years. Very friendly team contract as well. So like if you go into this offseason, which I can explain how I think the White Sox front office is going to go into this offseason, they're going to go after veterans. They're going after some guys that maybe were really good like 5 or 6 years ago to try and fill the spot. And they're going to do that because they're going to try to like fake you out and like pretend that they can compete. When in reality, like maybe, because this division is not good. Not good at all. I mean, I know I went and saw Guardians dub. You know what I'm saying? But they're not great. There's a lot of question marks with the Guardians besides their pitching. The Twins are the Twins. You know what I mean? Not good. The Tigers, you still want to see if they can actually make a leap forward, and then the Royals literally are awful. I think BK put in the chat, like, the top 10 worst farm systems. The Royals are in, like, the top 5. So for you to be that bad of a current franchise and also have a bad farm system, you're basically screwed. You're basically you
Yeah.
have nothing, no pieces that you can sell off. You have nothing you can do like that. If you're a Royals fan, I am so sorry. No, actually, I'm not sorry. Fuck you.
No.
But that does suck. And it could be worse, I guess. If you're a White Sox fan, you could think, "Wow, I could be a Royals fan." That would kind of suck.
Yeah.
But then when it just you think that like baseball's done, I don't have to care anymore. It doesn't matter, right? I think the Sox like 14 and a half out, so like there's a chance. They have a very easy schedule coming up, so you never know, dude. Could be. But then the White Sox go to Cleveland. Now it was really funny. I didn't think about it that the Sox were playing the Guardians in the summer like this in Cleveland because I guess I could have went to that game. Guess we could have went that weekend.
Realistically, yeah. Looking
Didn't think
back on
about
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought about it later. I was like, oh yeah, we could have just went to that Friday game. I saw the T-shirt giveaway that day because there's people I follow on Twitter that went. I was like, that's a cool shirt too. I mean, this one's also dope. I don't care, but that one had like the Guardian statue on like the side or something, dude. Yeah, that's kind of
Oh,
cool.
actually, maybe initially I didn't think about that weekend because I knew like this past week, like Molly's family had a family vacation. So
Oh, there you go.
maybe that's why I thought that.
Maybe.
But yeah, you would have thought that we would think, oh, White Sox are in town. It's the
Hey,
weekend. That
don't
makes
worry.
most.
April 8th, 2024, I will
You
be
know it.
there for the Eclipse game, dude. And probably watching a terrible baseball game between two terrible teams.
Yep.
But I digress. The Sox did go to Cleveland and it ended with a little bit or it involved a bang. Now the Sox did take 2 out of 3, so that's pretty cool, right? If you're a Sox fan, that's pretty awesome. What I love about this situation, so Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez slides in the second. It looks like there's a little like aggressive like tag, like Tim trying to tag him, and I don't really know. There's some chirping, and then on a day where we had Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, we had WWE SummerSlam, and we had Tim Anderson versus Jose Ramirez. What a day. Jose and Tim like drop it, get their hands up that they're going to fight. I'm like, there's no way. And then Jose Ramirez hits him with like one of the softest right hands I've ever seen connect somebody, and Tim just falls down. Now there's way more to this than that. Like the fact of like Tim Anderson, like Elvis Andrews just let him fall. Like he's just like, oh shit, there he goes. Like, all right, get this bum ass out of here, dude. What a kind of I don't even care if you think Tim Anderson's a piece of shit or whatever. Like, yeah, it's your teammate, bro. Like that there this is such an issue with this team. I'm literally sitting there like Michael Kopech was ready to go. And then what is the most White Sox thing of all? I know David responded to it a couple days later, but Eloy limping out of that, even though he wasn't involved. So I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for Dylan Cease, I think the Cubs won the trade. I think Dylan Cease is the only saving grace to that trade now. Like how, like, oh my, that's the most White Sox thing ever. So that part, I didn't even care. I wasn't even like that part didn't make me angry. I didn't give a shit. I just thought it was funny. I was like, this is so stupid, but like, shout out to baseball for trending. You know what I mean? Like that's what they needed. Then we get the Kenyon Middleton comments. So I'm going to read from ESPN here. This is from Jesse Rogers over there at ESPN 1000. The struggling White Sox who fall out of contention culminated with moving veteran players at the deadline were plagued by a culture that had, quote, no rules in which rookie regularly fell asleep. A rookie regularly fell asleep in the bullpen, former White Sox relief pitcher Kenyon Middleton said Sunday. Middleton was dealt to the New York Yankees just before Tuesday's trade deadline, joined the White Sox this season after signing a minor league contract and one of their better relievers prior to the deal. That's like real strong words, but okay. Despite hopes to contend this season, the White Sox are 45 and 68 under first-year manager Pedro Grifol, whom the team brought in after Tony La Russa. Middleton said, quote, we came in with no rules. I don't know how you police the culture if there are no rules or guidelines to follow because everyone is doing their own thing. Like, how do you say anything about it because there are, quote, no rules? You have rookies sleeping in the bullpen during the game. You have guys missing meetings. You have guys missing PFPs, which are pitcher fielding practices, and there are no consequences for any of this stuff. Now the White Sox came out and like retorted against that and like, you know, said their comments. Rick Hahn at one point like talked about the White Sox Twitter. He called it a cesspool. Rick Hahn, like Pedro Grifol goes out there and he's talking about like, no man, we talk about trying to build a better culture all year. Well, I don't think you accomplished that, Pedro. I don't think you did. So this just kind of brings home everything that a lot of people within the White Sox organization or like writers and stuff were kind of hinting at anyway. That there was like major issues with this clubhouse, and that stemmed from last season with Tony La Russa and company. But now we're realizing I don't think it was a Tony La Russa necessarily issue. Not that he helped. Not that I'm saying I'd rather have Tony La Russa as my manager. I don't feel that way. But it's not just a manager issue. Like there's deep issues within this clubhouse. And I think at one point, like, was it Pedro or Rick Hahn? I think it was Rick Hahn said that like one of their players has like a sleeping issue, and that's why like what's going on. And I'm like, dude, what is this shit? What is this circus we call the Chicago White Sox right now? And then on top of that, you have like 670 score. The reporter came out. I think it was Shane Riordan came out and said Grandal wasn't in the lineup before the All-Star game break. He just wanted to leave early, made it very clear. And then paraphrasing, Tim Anderson said, fuck him. If he doesn't want to be here, I'll pay for his flight. And then Grandal walked over to Tim Anderson in the tub and slapped him. Dude, holy shit. Is this team a fucking disgrace? Just an absolute fucking disgrace. Shout out to Luis Robert, though. He's like the only dude that looks like he wants to be there. Love that man. Okay. If it wasn't for Ohtani being in the American League, we would actually be talking about Luis Robert being an MVP. Which is pretty cool. But like, Jesus, this is just absolutely atrocious. It's such a shame to the fans and everything else. And like, if I'm at the point where like either Jerry, you have to sell the team to give them a chance, or you literally have to tear it all down. And like, I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the Kenny Williams, the Rick Hahns, like everybody in that building needs to go. That, or like, if you don't want to sell the team, let Michael take over. Like a Michael Reinsdorf take over. And like, let's just see. Right? Like, this is so bad. It's so awful. And the White Sox, like, I know, who was it? Was it Bruce, what's his name? God, that's a reporter.
Bruce Levine.
Yeah. He came out and said, like, that the White Sox, like, the reason they weren't, like, extra, even though they were super active at the deadline to me, like, they were literally, like, selling everybody. But that's not everybody. We still got Tim and Yoan and Dylan and that. But, like, the reason that they were, like, still keeping pieces because they believe they're going to contend next season. And to that, I said, I don't have enough weed smoked to completely believe that. Like, there's no way this team... Now, this is a White Sox team that 3 years ago, right, we saw the 2020, the shortened season, the COVID season, and then the White Sox were, like, on a trajectory where we're like, oh, shit, dude, this is it. We get to 2021, we have the Field of Dreams games with Tim Anderson against the Yankees, and it was so awesome, and, like, it just felt so great. And then we go to the postseason and we lose, but we're like, okay, that's okay. We're going to come back in 2022. Like, that's fine. We're like the last team to lose a series to the Oakland A's in the playoffs, guys. That's disgusting. This is really, really bad baseball. It's a really bad culture. It's a really bad team from top, all the way from the top to Jerry, all the way down to the bottom. It's really, really bad. It's really frustrating to be a White Sox fan at this point. You don't know whether or not, like, you don't trust any direction at this point. Like, I truthfully could not trust wherever this team decides to go. If Rick Hahn is still around come this offseason, like, you truly just don't care. You just really don't give a fuck. And to every White Sox season ticket holder, if you choose to still be a season ticket holder, shame on you. Because this team is never going to change until something drastic happens. You know, it kind of happened that way with the Bulls in a sense, right? Like, the Bulls didn't make the move to go out and, like, get AK and make these big changes to get rid of Gar and Pax until their attendance finally dropped, right? I mean, like, you know, Pete can attest, like, the Bulls have one of the best attendance records in the NBA since the 90s. Just unbelievable. Even when we're bad. Like, even when we're really bad, like, people go to Bulls games. And it wasn't until people just stopped. Like, we're done. That's the end of it. And then they finally made a move, and they go out and they get AK and stuff. And, like, you know, I know the Bulls, maybe right now, you're like, after last season, you're like, I don't know if I trust this whole AK process. I don't know, man. can't really harp on him about the Lonzo Ball thing. That's not his fault, right? You didn't know that Lonzo was just never going to play basketball again. We didn't know. So like with the White Sox, it's going to come down to like just like I mean they already have low attendance anyway, so all I can hear Cub fans and everybody like, oh, the White Sox don't ever sell. I know that, but like you have to. That's why I'm saying like season ticket holders and shit. You got to take that out of it. You cannot give these guys money, and it's a goddamn shame. It's a goddamn shame to be a White Sox fan right now. I literally have like a Guardian shirt on. You know what I mean? Like that's what my Bears had at least because football's right around the
Yeah, your
corner. You
Bears
know what I mean?
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's football season.
Yeah, but
You ready
well,
for it?
respectfully, fuck the Chicago White Sox.
That was good, man. That was good. There's not much more I can add to that. The thing I did, the thing I did just look up was Rick Hahn, like, because I wanted to know like where Rick Hahn came from. He's basically been with the White Sox since 2002. So the
Yeah.
guy has been in that front office forever. So Ryan, I think you're 100% right. If anything's going to change for the White Sox, you need to change kind of the minds of the people making all these decisions, specifically when it comes to front office and whatnot. Like, I mean, yeah, it starts with like, I mean, hiring a GM or not GM, manager from the Royals. Like, Jesus Christ, like, why don't you
It's like one of the
hire from
only
like a
teams
winning
worse.
team?
Yeah, it's like one of the only
Like,
teams worse than us.
I mean, say what you want about, like the whole, Astros and them cheating thing, but like, I don't care. I would take someone from that staff. You want to have people that have like won before. And like,
Right.
that's such a, crucial thing. And honestly, what might be a big thing for this White Sox team that like, I mean, you've probably thought about this, but maybe this is like a big thing. The Jose Abreu, like with him being gone, like that veteran presence
Yeah.
is something that was clearly, with this whole,
Holding it
um,
together at this point.
yeah, like where you need guys like that. And clearly that was the case. They needed to have more veteran leadership in there. And you were hoping you would get that with like Lance Lynn, with other guys, and it just like didn't pan out from that. And I know they talked about like how Lance Lynn was like in the World Baseball Classic, so like he was kind of delayed, and him kind of establishing like the locker room and whatever. But even with that, it's like you can't trust, and you're 100% right. Like you can't trust this regime
Yeah.
to make the right decision. You can't do it, and it starts with Reinsdorf, and then it goes right down. That's what it exactly is. And like, I mean, let's look at the Blackhawks for example. Like, before like Rocky's dad was kind of the main guy, Blackhawks were a travesty. They were the dumpster fire basically of the NHL. Rocky takes over, changes their front office, brings in Stan Bowman, brings a guy that's won in Detroit, has a winning pedigree. You got to bring in guys that like know what the hell they're doing. Like that's
Yep.
just I don't. You can't have your buddy Rick Hahn, who was Kenny Williams' buddy. You can't have him all of a sudden your GM. You can't do that. Yes, did Rick Hahn develop a decent farm system? Absolutely. I mean, they had a number of top prospects, but like prospects, you can't always bank on that. Like
Yeah.
even like for like the Cubs, all right. And I know we tried to like compare it to like, all right, the Cubs rebuild to the White Sox rebuild. The Cubs, I mean, you think about it, it's hard to hit like on
Yeah.
so many of those. And you talk about like I think BK talked about this on the draft, or not in the draft, but like because obviously BK loves talking about his prospects. It makes sense. I mean, the Orioles actually do really know how to develop. Okay,
Yeah.
they do. He's 100% correct. But if you look at that Cubs team, the top prospects or the top guys that they had, they were all first round picks. Right? Let's just go through it. Javi Baez, Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo. All these guys are first round picks. So it's not like to say at the time the Cubs just didn't know how to develop. Just more of like they hit with their first round picks.
And
That's
that's
really
hard to
what it
do,
came down
right?
to.
It's like you said, it's really hard
Yeah,
to do that. And like I think that's why
so
when you think
hard.
about the White Sox and you think about who came up and you had Tim Anderson, Yohan Makata, you then got Eloy and Luis kind of like right after that, with the Abreu presence. And it
Yeah.
did feel like you were like, oh my God, like we're doing it. Like this is it. And then it regressed. And it feels like when they regressed last season, they never regained control. And you
No.
could be
Yeah.
right. Like it is probably like a lot of it does have to do with like Jose Abreu and the presence that he had, obviously in the leadership that he brought there, and the fact that then once he was gone, you bring in a guy from a losing team, a losing culture in the Kansas City Royals, and you're expecting him to like reel everybody in, and like I don't understand how you could even expect somebody like that to do that. I think, and this is just me now speaking, is that like I would have preferred, in hindsight, Ozzie Guillen at this point. Like, because at least
100%.
Ozzie would have had some nuts. And, like, I think Ozzie would have done a better job at, like, reeling this clubhouse back in. That's not
Hmm.
to say that I think the Sox would be, like, a contending team. I have no idea
Hmm.
because this has just been a bad year in general. Like where a lot of guys aren't hitting well, a lot of guys aren't pitching well. Like we saw that with Lance Lynn, he was dealt. Lucas Giolito had meh. He started turning up right before the trade deadline, but man, Dylan Cease is having a lower year. Michael Kopech's
Yep.
awful, done. He's toast. That's never gonna work out. Um, so I think that a guy like Ozzie Guillen would have done way better. And like now, and obviously you're seeing it. I saw people on White Sox Twitter like kind of get mad Brian Anderson for like because when the Jake Berger trade happened, he's like, I'm just confused on what message we're sending to the fans. Like, what are we doing? What is going on? And like I saw White Sox fans like getting kind of upset, and it's like, what? He's right. We literally have
I mean,
no clue what we're doing. Like, how
yeah,
could you be
like,
comfortable with this right now? You shouldn't be. You should be
yeah,
very upset. So the White Sox, like, they just don't know what they're doing, and like, you need somebody in there, especially in that clubhouse, that can like reel everybody in, and it is a true, I guess, leader, right? Like, so, whether that be an Ozzie Guillen, an AJ
yeah,
Pierzynski, somebody that like you feel can come in and like what and rally everybody and like bring it all together because like right now it's just so bad and like I don't know
yep.
what you do this off season if you're the Chicago White Sox, especially because like I was not being funny. This is real. The Sox are gonna go after a bunch of veterans. Like the Sox tried to trade for Salvador Perez, okay, at the deadline from the Royals. Here's my thing, dude. Do I think Sal is a beast? Absolutely, dude. One of the best Royals players of all time. He'll go down as,
Hmm.
but that is not what you do. That's just not
No.
what you do in this position. Um, so wherever the Sox go from here is going to be so. I'm just so thankful that football is here coming up because I don't have to look. I don't have to think about it no more. It's all done.
Yeah. No, and Ryan, you brought up a good point. With yeah, now I'm by no means saying Ozzie Guillen should be their manager, but a guy like that, and I think honestly, I think AJ Pierzynski would do fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He's loved in Chicago. He's a White Sox legend. Like, I feel like he would do great. I think as a manager because guys like that, and I'm not trying to toot David Ross's horn whatsoever. There on the north side. But like guys like that, where yes, Rossi, is like this fun-loving guy, but he's also not going to take anything.
Yeah.
So, and neither is AJ. And when you have guys like that that are going to be running your team, and also can be somewhat distractions because Ozzie Guillen can be a distraction for Tim Anderson struggling because Ozzy will say something in the media that just like you're like, what the hell? And
Yeah.
then like they're gonna talk about that. They're not gonna talk about how Tim Anderson went 0 for 9 in that series. They're not gonna talk about that, but they're gonna talk about that. And like I feel like AJ would do that too. Like he would take the pressure off of a lot of this young core or the young pieces that the White Sox have. So a guy like that I think would be fine. And it does stink from like the White Sox perspective, like for this, because you look at it from this standpoint. I mean, you let off kind of talking about this. The division stinks. The division's 100% up for grabs. So like, it's almost like you got that false sense of hope of like,
Yeah.
oh, we can easily win the division, but like, are we actually good? I don't think so. But hey, we could win the division though. We add a couple pieces. We go on a little run.
Yeah.
Maybe we're good.
The
And you're
best.
you're stuck in that like weird little middle part.
What's so crazy to me is the best manager the White Sox have had in 5 years is Rick Renteria. That's
Good God.
Cubs and Sox legend, Rick Renteria.
Cubs and
That
Sox legend for
that's
sure.
legit the truth. Like over
Yeah.
Pedro Grifol, over Tony La Russa, We didn't have
Yeah.
these issues. These are the same young guys that Rick Renteria was a part of, helping them
Hmm.
develop, right? And then, right when we felt like they were good to go, Jerry's like, "All right, time to get my best buddy Tony in here. Got him to get him a ring because he feels bad he didn't get him one before." Again, it's just these are the things that plague the White Sox. Like I said, you understand they plague the Bulls at the same time.
Hmm.
So I want so bad the White Sox to go the Bulls route where it's like they finally said, we're not going to go within the organization. We're going outside and we're going to bring in like a whole new, like, you need a president of baseball operations that's actually going to run everything, that has full control. Jerry just needs to go sit, do his thing, right? You know what I mean? Don't be, getting involved in it. You know what I mean? It's like the Jerry Jones bullshit, dude. Like, don't be involved with my team like that. You
Hmm.
own the team, that's great. But you don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal or the foresight to see through the trees to actually run the team. So that is why, until real change like that happen, it's just a rinse cycle repeat for the White Sox. And that is so unfortunate because there has been really good talent on these teams the last 5 years or so, and it just hasn't amounted to nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said, a playoff loss, series loss to the A's. You know what I mean? Brutal.
Yikes. All right. Is that enough? Like for
Yeah, go
White
ahead,
Sox,
dude.
I
Yeah,
think
it's fine, dude.
that was good.
Thanks,
That was
man.
good. Actually, that was way more tame than I thought it was gonna be. It was still, I mean, it's still really good.
Thank you.
But we can go. We'll go to the north side. Go to the
Okay.
north side here. Hey, Cubs are back. Cubs are so back right now. I'm too much on it. I'm too much on it now for the Cubs, and it's because I was thinking about this like a couple weeks ago. I was like, all right, even if they make it and have this like long run of like winning streak, I'm like, they can't be that good. They can't be that good. Then this last week is where they got me. They got me. I'm all in. I'm all in now. I'm suckered in. I'm here for whatever pain possibly might come my way here for the Cubs because they took 3 of 4 from the Reds. And I was like, okay, this is kind of legit. And then they take 2 of 3 from Atlanta at home. And I'm like, okay, all right, they might be good. They might actually be good. So, and especially, I mean, we talked about the AL Central. NL Central's not great either. I
Nah.
mean, it's not a very good division either. So the Cubs sit right now. They're 2 games back in the division. They're right at that third wild card spot. Currently, it's 2-2 in Cubs Mets because Pete Alonso. Guess what, Cubs? He's a good hitter. Probably shouldn't keep pitching to him. Hit another dinger tonight. Pretty sure he's got like 3 or 4 in the series.
Damn.
So Jesus Christ, maybe we don't have to pitch to him all the time. Um, but it goes back to Ryan, what you were saying, like the White Sox and in their locker room, and I do give kudos to some of the things that the Cubs did because bringing in like guys that have won before. So like Dansby Swanson was obviously, I mean, they needed a shortstop. Cubs badly needed a shortstop this offseason. You bring in a guy who has won a World Series with the Braves, who's been a consistent winner, basically college to where he is in the pros. So that's a consistent winner, clubhouse guy that you can bring in. The other big piece was taking the smart gamble with Cody Bellinger
Yeah.
because say what you want about his struggles the last couple of years. Um, the guy has won. He's been in the
Stud.
majors, I think, for 6 or 7 years now. He's been in the postseason every year. Like, so he's getting there every year. So you bring in guys like that have won before,
Yep.
and you kind of mix it with that nucleus of, you got your Nico Horner, you got your Ian Happ, and even Ian, Ian's won a little bit and been to the postseason before. And you kind of bring that in, and guys like Jan Gomes, who's been crucial there to the Cubs. Like, I mean, he was a big part of the, Indians/Guardians for a really long time. I think he was part of. I think he was part of the World Series for the Nationals too. You probably have to fact check me on that. But yeah, I mean, he's been part of at least winning teams. So you bring in kind of some veteran leaders like that. Marcus Stroman, who's been good before he got hurt here. Did not have a very good July. It was absolutely awful. It was the worst pitching performance ERA wise by a starter all in July. So obviously that was not great. So they need him to get back. But Ross is doing a great job because the first couple of years it's been a little shaky. There, I mean, you depleted your big core, a couple of years ago, and they've done a good job of recouping some of that. Um, I hope to God they sign back Cody Bellinger after this year. Jesus Christ,
I
like
love that signing for.
Ricketts.
I loved Cody Bellinger for the Cubs. Like that's just a great move. Like to bring in a veteran with that young core, and it's not like a distracting veteran, right? It's a veteran that like you said wins. Even though he's had a couple of down years here, he's still showing it. And like every time he just hits a bomb, dude, he's got a sweet swing. I do like me some Cody Belly, dude.
It is, well, of course it's left-handed.
Ah,
Like,
that's
I mean,
why.
of course, it has to be left-handed for it to look good. But yeah, so I mean, for the Cubs, and then them adding at the deadline with Candelario, bringing him back was just that's when I knew okay, they're all in. Not like okay, everything's all in for this year, but they're in on hey, we're giving this team a chance for this year, especially with Bellinger just here for a year. Who knows? Hopefully they sign him an extension. Please, for the love of God, they should do it. But yeah, I mean, I think the Cubs have a good a chance as any really in that division because yes, Milwaukee's been consistent the last couple of years. They've been in the playoffs a number of times. Cincinnati's a very young team. I mean, Joey Votto is really the only veteran on that team that has won before. So who knows how they're going to play down the stretch. Obviously, Pittsburgh's been and then St. Louis. St. Louis stinks.
Right
So
here,
that's great.
buddy. Right here, St. Louis. Yeah, suck it.
Yeah, so that's great. But no, I'm enjoying the Cubs ride. Let's see what they do here the rest of the year. So yes, Cubs, you got me. You got me. I wasn't going to be fully invested. I wasn't going to try to get my hopes up, but my hopes are up. So you
I
got
love
me,
that.
Cubs. So congrats to you, Jed Hoyer. You son of a bitch. You did it. You did it. God. But no, I'm excited. See what happens the rest of the year. But of course, of course I'm excited. It's football season. About a month, so let's just be real. Um, but in terms of excitement, baseball attendance is up close to 9% this year, which is absolutely fantastic. If it holds true to this percentage for the rest of the year, be the highest since, of course, the Juice era. We got Sosa McGuire in the 98 season, the home run season of 98, them going back and forth. God, is this awesome. Ryan, I think I know your answer, but what do you think the main reason is why attendance is up this year?
I think that the fact that you've implemented some changes, including the pitch clock and stuff like that, right? That goes into it. Like I literally, I don't know, it could have been like the 12 Miller Lights deep we were, but I don't remember that game. It ended so fast. I was like, huh, this is crazy. We're already leaving. You know what I mean? Like, had no clue. Um, I think it's just that I know other teams like well, I guess let's stick with the Guardians, right? The Guardians are having really great attendance here. I do think a lot of that has to do with like they made some good changes, like for you guys, right? Having the standing room only
Hmm.
season ticket option. I think that's great.
Yeah.
You have like more people that are invested in baseball again. I think you've got some big players like Otani that you just gotta go see them. You know what I mean? Whenever they're in town, you want to go see Otani. But I do think like the pitch clock and the implementing of that helps a lot because the game's a little bit faster. Now, if you can just get rid of those blackout restrictions, baseball be on a roll, dude.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, poor BK. Somehow like living in North Carolina and being in the Baltimore market. Unbelievable. So Bobby Manfred, that's the thing we gotta change. We gotta change those blackouts. That's the dumbest thing that baseball really has. Way to make you not grow the game by not showing your product. So great work.
Yeah.
Great work on that. So that's very stupid. You know what also is actually not. Well, no, you know what is stupid? The Mets are paying $132 million basically to players who aren't playing with them right now. Actually, I don't know if this factors into this awesome stat that you have, Ryan. Does this include Bobby Bonilla?
I don't know
Do
if
we
it
throw the
includes
Bobby?
Vivania, but if it does, that's crazy.
I mean, we could throw two more. I think he gets either is it a million or 2 million?
I think
I think
it's a mill, no?
Yeah. So we could possibly make it $133 million, really, that they're paying. Obviously, with the Scherzer, the Verlander, um, the selling that the Mets had to do. And then, of course, the Mets are playing super well against the Cubs right now. Damn it. Um, but that's crazy. I mean, this is the risk you take though in free agency, and when you get two pitchers that are in their late 30s, like I
Yep.
mean, what did you kind of expect really from the Mets? So yeah, $132 million. That's unbelievable. I mean, actually, we probably should have looked it up. I probably should have looked this up too, but we should have looked up what that payroll would look like compared to what other teams' payrolls are. I'm gonna guess that's way more than the Guardians. And I would say maybe about 10 baseball teams
I
that are out
think
there.
that there was
That
at least 5 teams that if you took their whole salary, that was more
yeah,
than yeah,
I
which
could
is
see
pretty
that at
crazy.
least. Yeah, that is insane. But yeah, we're right in the dog days of August when it comes to baseball. So yeah, Ryan, every minute's closer to the season ending for you,
I just
which is
want you to
what you
know.
want.
Want you to know, breaking news on the show live right now. I was talked into going to the Bears and Titans preseason game on Saturday.
There we
Yeah!
go.
Yeah! Yeah, Nick and Tito and Michael are going there like, hey, you gotta go. And I was like, all right. We're going right where the tunnel is. It's like $85, dude. That's not bad.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in, dude. Fuck it.
There you
I
go.
get to see a little bit of Justin Fields. It'll be a good time. But yeah, you are 100% correct. We are just so close to me not. Well, I mean, I've already checked out anyway, but like, then like they
Yeah.
do things that like make me angry, and I'm like, now I got to talk about it. Like
Now
that's
I gotta
crazy.
talk about it.
That is stupid. You know what I mean? I would prefer the White Sox talk about like, yeah, they're still around, and like we just continue on. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm
but no, now I got to talk about it. You want to jump into football then? Want to do it? Want to do it? Want to do it? Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
All right, let's start with ESPN and Penn Entertainment, which is being bought back by Dave Portnoy. So Penn Entertainment had a majority hold in Barstool Sports. Dave Portnoy essentially then is buying them back for free. It's like weird how the numbers work. I'm not like a business major. I can't tell you exactly how those numbers work. But then on top of it, Penn Entertainment, which they have, Barstool has their own gambling app in case you didn't know. But now ESPN, it's going to be rebranded as ESPN Bet. It'll be operated by Penn Entertainment, which is selling back, like I said, to Dave Portnoy. On Tuesday, ESPN announced a 10-year deal with Penn Entertainment, a casino company, to create an online sports betting brand called ESPN Bet, catapulting the sports entertainment network into a lucrative world of online gambling. Penn will operate the online sportsbook and pay ESPN $1.5 billion. That's how much the person in Florida won on that Mega Million yesterday. In cash for the use of ESPN's name, marketing, quote, access to ESPN talent and other promotional tools. Penn said in a news release. Penn will also give ESPN options to buy $500 million in Penn stock, the news release said. This is why when ESPN paid all that money to Pat McAfee, they viewed it as like a drop in the bucket. Like they weren't really that concerned about it. Now you see why. I was thinking about this too because ESPN, like say what you will, right? The amount of engagement ESPN gets versus Barstool actively daily users is such an lucrative increase that like
hmm
now it's going to be crazy. Like I can guarantee the 3 people on this show that can actually bet in their state will install an ESPN Bets app, dude, and we're gonna use ESPN Bets because it's ESPN. You know what I mean? Like, gonna happen. I'll use ESPN Bets over DraftKings, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? Unless DraftKings wants to
Yeah.
sponsor the show, amnationpod@gmail.com. Then, all right, I'm in. But so that's really cool. It will launch this fall, and like I mentioned, this comes after Dave Portnoy buys back Barstool. So overall, dude, I think this is pretty cool.
This is cool. I mean, and I mean, to me, I feel like it's the more options, the better when it comes to betting. So I'm sure there's gonna be so many, and like for this to come out like right before football season, you know how many like I mean, here in Ohio, we had so many promos for that like first month. So we had it like this beginning of the year. So like in January, there were so many promos from like all these different ones. This is perfect for me.
Yeah.
This is gonna be launched. Get so many promos. Well, actually, not for me. Never mind. For everyone. This is gonna be great because you're gonna get so many promos there for ESPN Bet, and yeah, God, ESPN, could you be more original with this? Jesus Christ, ESPN Bet, okay. I mean,
Bat.
it, I mean, are you on eBet? Like, I can see why they went with ESPN Bet. That does make sense after I just said it out loud. But in my head, it sounded better of eBet. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I think this is cool, and yes, I will probably be using this. Primarily, the one I've been using is FanDuel. So yeah, I'm gonna look at both. I'm gonna look at both of these, and even when I was betting like NFL, I was looking at Barstool. So I was looking at Barstool, looking at some of those, and like playing and looking at maybe their odds or whatever, or seeing what might be something that went down, whatever it was. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna look at this for sure.
Oh yeah. Something else I'll be looking at. Super Bowl this year for the first time. Nickelodeon will be offering their alternative broadcasting for it. I'm in, dude. Slime Zone on the Super Bowl. This is great. I actually don't know who's hosting the Super Bowl. It's got to be CBS. It has to be if Nickelodeon's doing it.
Well, it's not Fox.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's gotta be
CBS.
CBS.
Yeah, because Paramount
Right.
would be getting it. Let's take a gander at that. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is really cool. You're gonna have SpongeBob and all the other cool Nickelodeon things that they do usually during the playoffs when they do it. So I'm in. I love this shit.
Yeah.
Slime Zone. It is CBSC. I'd rather do that to listen
CBS.
to
Yeah.
Tony Romo. So hey,
Hey,
you know what I
you
mean?
know, Jim.
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't know,
you
Jim.
know, Jim.
Looks like you might just have a cramp while Dak Prescott's ankle's just like flopping around and shit like a dead fish.
I
Yeah,
think it's a cramp.
no, I don't think so. A little bit. That's a severe cramp. I'm thinking this will be pretty cool though, just to flip on and be like, oh my god, look at they're in the slime zone. So cool. I like it. I'm all about it. What else we got going on? Oh, Jonathan Taylor, bud. Also, real quick, I want to point this out real quick while we're talking about running backs and not getting paid.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley rallied the troops, rallied the running backs, and then a couple days later signs for $1 million more than the franchise tag. Nice.
I know that was hilarious to look at from like a high level like overview of it. I'm guessing, and I have not looked into the contract. He must have gotten more guarantees. I'm assuming that there was more guarantees that went into that, but it is funny. Like when you think about it, you're like, all right, guys, we're all in this. All right, we're sticking up for the running backs. Whatever. Week later, just $1 million more, and yeah, I'm just gonna settle with that. That sounds great.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm
See you
actually
guys.
happy with
Good
it.
luck.
As we're heading into fantasy football season, I wish Josh Jacobs would do the same. You know what I mean? Got him in the sixth.
Yeah.
Kind of really want to keep him there. Don't really want to have to pass on that just because he's not, around. It's tough times. Tough times to be a running back, including Jonathan Taylor, who supposedly he's been given like an extended like period of time away from the team on the IR, and the non-injured pup list, whatever it is. He's been like, from what I've heard from camp, is that he's like even in street clothes, like looks really like he's hobbling around a little bit. It's said to be the same ankle that he was injured last year that he missed a lot of time with. I don't know what's going on. This comes after Jonathan Taylor vocal about wanting to get paid. Jim Irsay just saying just the weirdest shit. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's back on the drugs and the booze again. I don't know what's going on with Jim Irsay. BK's favorite owner, probably. You know what I mean? Loves the Irsays, let me tell you.
Big Jim fan.
Yeah,
Big
Jim Irsay fan. But yeah, dude, this is another notch where like the running backs, like it's gonna take a few years, I think, for running backs to finally like get some like momentum again.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough being a running back in the NFL, especially with like nowadays and how everything's kind of set up. I don't know who was on. I was listening to the Pat McAfee show. I don't know. I don't know if it was Ricky Williams was on there, which was a really interesting interview, just from Ricky's perspective, because you think about Ricky when he played, and he's very, very smart when it comes to a lot of things. And one of the things was actually his football IQ was very high
Yeah.
for Ricky. But he was talking about the running back position, and I think just how maybe it's just going to be like the Debo Samuel, where it's a hybrid, where it's like a guy where you have a running back, but it's really kind of a receiver at the same time. Like you look at like two guys that just got drafted in the first round. You got Bijan Robinson and you have Gibbs from Alabama that went to Detroit. Like both those guys can really catch the ball and come out of the backfield, and maybe that's the thing that swings up the the salaries for these guys is they're just basically kind of hybrids. Maybe that's the thing where it's like maybe instead of getting like how it used to be like 25 carries a game, maybe they get like 12, but then maybe they get like 6 or 7 catches. And like that's kind of what it looks like in terms of touches there for them. But because you look at the receiver market, I mean, that thing is skyrocketed. I mean, in terms of like the amount that you're paying these guys. I mean, one reason, I mean, a couple of reasons. I mean, so obviously Devontae and then Tyreek Hill, like, are the two main ones where like they left their teams last year. Both teams, well, Packers kind of did. Never mind, that's not the point. But they both got like paid big amounts. So you're looking at it like if you're maybe running back, you better figure out how to catch the ball because that's where you might be making more money is being part of the passing game. I know that that's a crucial part, for the Packers with Aaron Jones, is having him come out of the backfield, and that's what you need from your running back position. I think at this point, so maybe they create this like hybrid position. Maybe it's not a half or a running back anymore, and a receiver, and now it's just a hybrid and a receiver. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but yeah, the whole running back market. I mean, it doesn't make sense to really pay a running back. It really doesn't at this time. They are still crucial. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're still a big part. You still got to run the football in January. It still comes down to that. Say what you want about the Chiefs having a rookie in Pacheco. They still had to run the ball. But, of course, the guy was on a rookie contract.
That's the thing,
So
dude.
they were able to find somebody.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing. You kind of get yourself a running back in the draft, get him going for 4 years, 5 years, and then you cut him. You know what I mean? Cut bait. And that's gonna be an interesting thing. Something else terrible. I forgot to put this in the notes, but Colin Cowherd talking about players that can't win a Super Bowl and putting the late Dwayne Haskins in there. Like I don't understand how Colin did that. I don't understand how the people at Fox Sports allowed that to go through. Awful. Absolutely terrible.
what I mean, what a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Like to even like be like that, oh yeah, this is fine, to put out there. And this is coming, I mean, after like a few weeks ago, and obviously this is not to the extent of stupidity as this one is, but
Mm-hmm.
like saying like, oh, I'd trade Otani for a ton of draft picks.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Trade him for a ton of draft picks. Hey Colin, you can't trade MLB draft picks. Oh, really? Really? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure the people at Fox were just like, so what are we paying this guy, and why is it so overpaid?
Yeah.
What are we doing? So,
A-
but hey,
Absolutely.
guess what? We're talking about it.
That is
So,
true.
I mean,
That is true.
if they're looking for that, they got it. But yeah, I mean, I don't respect anything that really comes out of Colin's mouth for the most part. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, there's some things that he might be right about, but there's some things
He's
obviously
gonna
like
tell
that
me
one.
he's gonna
Just
tell me
terrible.
Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than Justin Fields. It's a good time. You know what I mean? It's a good time had by all.
Yeah.
Kyle Coward there. Speaking of good times, Dan Snyder sells the Washington Commanders. After that, the NFL did fine him $60 million, which would be 1% of what he just made selling the team, for sexual harassment of an employee and withholding funds from other teams. The amount of that withholding is not known because they didn't cooperate with the NFL. Did you talk about the NFL just wanting to get rid of a dude? You know what I mean? They're like, all right, like, we just need to get this dude out of here. Whatever needs to happen, please, for the love of God, just get him out of
Just get him
here.
out.
The
Yeah.
group that purchased him, Magic Johnson's a part of that group. Pretty cool. They've already discussed after this season rebranding of the team. Not going to stick with the Commanders already. Can't see why. Um, but hey, all right, dude. New ownership out there in Washington.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, yeah, that they're gonna switch to like another team. So
They're
you
like, you
go
know
from
what? Wait, maybe like test the waters. Do you think we just go back to Redskins, or is that still like bad? Like, where are we
yeah,
at?
just go back to one of our one of my friends from or what yeah one of our friends from North Carolina. He's a big Washington team or Washington fan, He's like, they should just go back to team. He wants them to just go back to team. Just go
Yeah,
back to
watch
football
the
team.
team.
Yeah, Washington football team. Just go back to that. Because yeah, it's. I mean, you would you go from Redskins football team, Commanders to whatever else they pick. So it'd be 4 team names in like what, a 6-year period,
It's almost as
7-year
many
period. Like
managers the White Sox will have had. Yeah,
there we go.
nice,
Yeah,
dude. Full circle.
full circle. Yeah, it's good. It's
They're
good.
like,
It's a good job on you.
dude, they're like a toxic ex. I can't get over them. You know what I mean? I just love it. I like. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I just keep going back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, I know. But yeah, let's see, dude. Rebrand of the Washington Commander football team, baby. New owners, though. In all seriousness, really glad Dan Snyder's gone. Absolute piece of
Yes.
shit. And the fact that like the NFL, like that whole the withholding and the money thing, that's what gets me because I'm like, wow, like the NFL was just like, are you shitting me right now, dude? Like, what are we doing here? So at least they got a little bit of control back, and that's it in that sense. But, terrible
Yeah.
times, terrible times. Let's do college football here to wrap this up. First, the news came out that Colorado will be moving to the Big 12 in 2024. Okay, kind of figured that they were going to have some type of movement, especially because of Deion Sanders being there, and like they're going to be on the rise. Colorado, in all intents and purposes, in the next few years, looks like they should be a pretty well established football program at that point. Once he gets all his guys in and stuff, right? But then I literally had to update this note section like 3 times because the reports started coming out that like, oh hey, the Big Ten is meeting with like people like to make sure they can get approved to expand some more. This comes after more like Pac-12 teams were talking about leaving, and they're like the Pac-6 now, or whatever the hell they are, a 6-pack. That's what we can call them. No, actually, I think they're like a 4-pack, but whatever. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so they're like talking about. So I have that in the notes, right? And I'm like, I'm putting in there like, who's going to be the next teams? Like, who are we thinking? And they're like, nope, psych. 24 hours later, it's actually Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten. So within the last couple of years, the Big Ten would have added the USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. Pete, what a time to be a Big Ten guy, and at the same time, I'm going to say exactly what I told Boy because I said, it's crazy. All these West Coast teams wanting to come just to lose to the Illini. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Oh, dude, 100%. That noon kickoff of Oregon against Illinois in Champaign in November. Give me all of that all day long. No, that's gonna be fantastic. Then also when they have to like travel to Indiana, that's gonna be great too. But yeah, I mean, as a Big Ten fan, absolutely, you're hyped about this. David's got to be hyped because now David could probably go to some games. Probably go to the Illinois game, especially when they play Northwestern. He could probably go when they play Northwestern.
Yeah, they're
So
just
yeah,
hazing over there. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, so, yeah, yeah, we don't have to get into that. No, so like he can go to all these games now, but yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely hyped about this. It sucks because college football specifically. I mean, yes, you have your great rivalries. Obviously, UNC Duke when it comes to basketball. So you have like your big rivalries there, but like it just sucks because college football I feel like is made on these big rivalries. So it does stink that like you're gonna separate some of these teams, but you're also gonna create awesome matchups like the Oregon like against Ohio State game every year, or at Michigan, or Washington, traveling to Wisconsin. That should be fun. Like some of these other games are gonna be good games. So you get other rivalries that come with it, and this is just a matter of time. I mean, we're gonna get to like super conferences. That's really what it's gonna
yeah.
come down to: super conferences,
Yep.
and then things are just gonna happen from there.
And Notre Dame will stay independent, baby, and of course the MAC.
Yes. So good. All right. So good segue that I was gonna say quickly about Notre Dame, but hold on. Live right now, we have an update. Michael Lorenzen is 1 strike away from a no-no
Oh,
as the Philly pitcher. So we're going to do a great job podcasting here. All right, so it's a 1-2 pitch. I threw it in the dirt. Oh god, yeah, he definitely tried to throw it too hard. But no, to the Notre Dame point. So Notre Dame is probably going to stay independent as long as they can. The
yeah.
thing that's going to screw Notre Dame, and mess this up. So Pete Thamel was on I think it was Pat McAfee's show earlier this week, and he was talking about this, and he was saying the thing that would make Notre Dame move is if these conferences get too big, and say you have to play like 10 conference games, and you have to play two non-conference, and what if like because Notre Dame's schedule is obviously filled with all non-conference, you just don't have the scheduling capability to put Notre Dame on your schedule. Then they might be forced into a conference, and then they have to go to the Big Ten. They have, I mean, it makes way too much sense. I know that they already play a lot of their sports in the ACC, but like, oh my god, if Notre Dame was in the Big Ten, God, that would be so great. That would
Man,
be so
I could
awesome.
just, I know
Yes.
BK is listening to this right now. Like, these motherfuckers, dude. These motherfuckers and their super conference bullshit. Did you check them out?
Fly out to center, Michael Lorenzen, no, against the Nationals.
Woo! Woo! No,
Man,
no. Woo!
that's so cool. They just showed like in the crowd. I think that was his mom and his wife with looks like they have like a maybe 1 year old baby,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
they're both just like crying and freaking out right now.
That's awesome.
So
Good on
shout out to
Michael
Michael
Lorenz.
Lorenzen. Nice
Hell
job.
yeah.
Nice
Um,
job.
Brett McMurphy of Action Network reported it a couple days ago that Pac-12 president contacted the Big 12 counterpart and asked if the league, quote, could take all of us except for Oregon State and Washington State. It's unclear what that answer to that question was, but obviously the plan did not come to fruition as Oregon and Washington wound up joining the Big 10. Arizona State, and Utah joined Colorado and going to the Big 12. So the final four remaining in that Pac 4, or the four pack, Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, we're kind of getting to that point where you're going to have just a few conferences. I understand both sides of that where they're like, oh, that sucks. And at the same time, I think with the landscape of the TV market and like the TV revenue market, the Pac-12 didn't really adjust, right? The way that the Big 12 and the SEC and even the Big 10 they all did, right? Like they all kind of adjusted in a sense with the times, and Pac-12 kind of didn't. So this is where we're at.
And, I mean, can you think about it from the perspective? The Big Ten must be like salivating at this because you can have games start as early as 11 o'clock Central
Yeah,
and let them go
till like 11
until
p.m.
like
Central, dude.
yeah,
That's 12
like
hours of
you
football,
literally
baby.
exactly you have so much content, and guess what? That night game that goes to 11, that could be Ohio State at Washington. You know how many eyeballs you're gonna get on that bad boy? Like, I mean, they are
Yeah.
probably freaking out at what they can have and accomplish here for the Big Ten. So kudos to them. They literally have all the time zones
I think
really with this. I don't. Well, no, they don't have the mountain. I don't think they don't have the mountain time. They got the Pacific time, Central, and East Coast time.
mm, no, they don't have mountain time. Um
Should have grabbed Colorado.
that was so cool, dude, Dion.
That would have cool.
The Big 10 though, like, or the Big 20, whatever they're going to be. It is wild to me. Like, it's absolutely insane. But at the same time, like, it's just cool, dude. It's just cool. Like, I can't
Yeah,
wait to see, like, now, like, remember the whole college football playoff and talk about the power four conferences or whatever. We might have to adjust that a little
yeah,
bit. Might have to adjust those automatic bids.
yeah. It might be a little weird. Might be a little weird there. Well, maybe not. Throw the Mac in there. Throw the
Damn
Mac.
right,
Like,
dude.
yeah, let's get somebody from the Mac in the title game. Yeah, to get smacked.
Yeah, it's all right, dude.
Do it.
Action, baby. What's gonna be crazy?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the Big 12 continued to really benefit themselves with the teams they brought in when it comes to
Hmm.
specifically the basketball side of things. That's gonna be a really fun basketball conference, like no doubt in my
Yeah.
mind. And also a really good football conference too. Like honestly, like the Big 12 had that good year last year, right? Where like everybody top to bottom, you're like, oh wow, like they really overachieved. You add Colorado, like I said, within the next few years, you'll definitely see their name popping up way more. Arizona State, like overall, like the Big 12 made out really well in this too, and Utah, they got Utah out of it, like pretty
Yeah.
good. Um,
Big Big 12 did a good job. They
yeah,
they did a solid job because yeah, we were talking about what was it like 2 years ago? Like, oh, Big 12's in trouble. Like, I mean, because it's like, oh, they lost Texas and Oklahoma,
Yeah, and I think they're
and
fine now. I think like everybody they
yeah,
brought in, they've created a really good like solid conference from top to bottom. Whereas like Texas and Oklahoma, like great to them to be in the SEC, but I don't know like when they get like a title shot or anything like that, depending on how things go. You got to feel for USC a little bit. They go to the Big Ten. They feel like they got an upper hand when it comes to recruiting now. They don't have to worry about Oregon anymore. It's fine. We're in the Big Ten. Oregon's like, back again, boys. Here we are. That's crazy, dude. I'm like so shocked that like almost all of our teams are in the Big Ten. That is just
yeah,
nuts. Absolutely nuts.
it's wild.
I can't wait to watch the Illini basketball play on that Oregon court. You know what I'm saying? Dude.
Absolutely for the big conference battle.
Yeah. You don't even need to have like these invitationals anymore, dude. You can just have a Big Ten like random tournaments.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing that's a bummer from this is like you're not gonna get your like historic like Rose Bowl matchup anymore.
Oh,
Like a
that's
Big
so
Ten
true.
against Pac-12. You're not gonna get that anymore. But hey, you know what? Instead, you're gonna get that in Champaign in November, and it's like 15 degrees out. Instead, you're gonna get that. So,
Yeah, I
is
know,
it
baby.
better?
I don't know,
I would
dude.
say yes.
The moment like my dad and me have already talked about it. Like as soon as there is a game that USC has to travel to Champaign, like we're in. Cause like you just gotta
Oh,
go, dude. You have to go see it because it's so funny,
it's gonna be hilarious. And then it's gonna be so funny seeing all the Pac-12 schools with the Big Ten logo on.
dude.
Oh
Or like
yeah.
you go down to Champaign on a crisp November night and they're playing Oregon. Oregon's got their black jerseys on, and you're just like, yes, this is great.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Oh, I understand. Like I said, I do understand the thought of like I did like having a bunch of conferences, but this is kind of where we're at right now in society as a whole. Like it's kind of like kind of a weird comparison, but like I'm gonna see if it works. But like how the streaming market happened, right? And like you have all these streaming sites come up, and now we're in the process of seeing them start to like come together a little bit and like form
Hmm.
partnerships or like entities because they can't. There's just too many options, and consumers can't keep up. That they're making harder choices, right? So then, what you want to do to make it easier on the consumer when it comes to making these choices, is like, well, if I pair this with this, like for instance, like Disney and Hulu, all right, now I don't have to make the decision: do I want Disney or Hulu? I just get Disney and Hulu, or Paramount and Showtime. Now I don't have to make that decision. I'm in one. HBO and Discovery, blah. This is kind of where we're at. And in the end, and with the college football landscape, it's kind of in the same position. There's only so much TV money that can go around, right? And these companies, the ESPNs, the CBSs, the Fox, all these things, which like Fox has to be just living right now, dude. They're like, holy shit, Big Ten Saturday football is gonna be insane for us. But like all those TV companies, there's only so much to go around. So like if you didn't get lucky and your conference didn't get a good TV deal that you need, you're kind of screwed. So that's why like Pac-12's TV deals just weren't good. They just weren't good for them, and that's
Hmm.
what it didn't benefit them at all. Where I think you see some of the smaller conferences that are still out there, like the MAC, like who has the great ESPN deal that they get, and then like, even like the American Conference and like those conferences have
Hmm.
built themselves a nice little niche TV market deal where they're okay. Like it's okay for those schools. Now, I mean, I'm not to sit here and say like eventually like you will probably see some of those schools get lured into a bigger conference and it's gonna be really hard for them to say no.
Hmm.
But this is crazy. I honestly like I mean I knew that after USC and UCLA that the Big Ten would still go after others. I wasn't prepared for it to be so soon.
Yeah, that was really quick. I mean, and kudos to them, like for the Big Ten, like trying to basically take over because yeah, you look at the SEC and the SEC is basically just in that corner. I mean, yes, they added Texas and Oklahoma, but it's basically it. I mean, Big Ten's really you know making themselves felt nationwide
Yeah,
with these moves for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna see next year, Oregon, Washington. Welcome to the Big Ten, baby. Goddamn. Welcome aboard. Anything else, Pete, before we wrap this up? No?
No.
All right, dude. Let's wrap it up then. All right, everybody. As always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all that good stuff. It's at AM Nation Pod. Hit the follow button on all of those. Listen to the podcast on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. Just search Amalgamation Nation. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Amalgamation Nation or AM Nation Pod. Check us out there. Twitch.tv/Undead Black Bulls, where you find David streaming. Give him a follow and a sub. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch gaming sub a month. So give it to Undead Black Bull. Everybody, it's been fun. Good show. We'll see you next time. Get ready for fantasy football. And as always, you stay breezy.